Oh, the radiator blew up on us, so now we're going to replace the radiator on this.
Wood, one of the strongest shoes.
Okay. Well, couldn't find a rad because of the year, a little older, so we went to a local wreckers and we're going to yank this one. Okay, and there's our donor rad. Now we're going to go install it in our car.
New Country SX96. Thanks for making us.
Okay, the first thing we need to do on this 1989 Fox is to take off this front grille. There's a couple of little screws that we need to get out to take the side cover off. So, pulls it out like that. Sit on the side. And here are the two screws. Okay, now that you've taken out the two screws, there's a nut underneath here you're going to have to hold. And unscrew the top bracket. Okay, now you're going to have to take this nut off here from this bracket. Just like that. Okay, after you've taken off this nut here for the bracket down to the bottom, you'll need to take off this Phillips screwdriver, and there's one up top here, and that holds the shroud too from underneath. So once, okay, the next thing you want to do is get yourself a container to let the antifreeze run into, and you're going to have to take off that hose clamp. Just a screwdriver should do. So once it's loose and it's turning, you can pull the hose. See if I need a couple more turns. And we'll drain the rest of the fluid that's still in there. Like that. Okay, now you have to take the top two hoses off. Same thing. Screwdriver this side. In this one. If that doesn't work, vice grips. Pull those hoses off. Then push down on the clip by the fan. This clip that you see here. You see that? Push the clip down, pull the plug off. And we got one more bolt down here. We're going to have to take that one off. It's a nut. Right there. Okay, now that you get your plug off, and you've unscrewed that nut down there, just bend these back a little bit, and take the wires off here. And there's another one on the bottom, but it's tie strap, so I'll have to cut that off when we get it up. So we'll pull this back, the shroud. Okay. Okay, we've got all the screws for the shroud out, so you just move the shroud from the frame itself, make sure it's out of the way, and then just pull straight up. Just like that. There's the shroud. So now there's a plug underneath. You still got to pull this off. And we're going to have to cut that tie strap right there off. So take for our wire cutters and just that. These wires out. I'll have to replace that. Okay. Now then, what we need to do now is to take these bolts off here. There's 1, 2, 3 of them to take the fan off. So once you've unscrewed those 3 bolts, the fan just pops right off. And we'll need that. Okay. Now we got to take the shroud off. What we need to change over from this rad to the donor rad is this mount here. But make sure when you're grabbing this that you're grabbing the metal plate on the bottom and not just the rubber. And the same with this one. And that way you can turn it off. Okay. Because if you just grab the rubber, you're just going to twist it off, and that's no good. You won't be able to use it. Okay, we got our mounts from the old rad, so we're going to put them on our donor. We were lucky that this mount was still intact. And now just put the fan back on. Okay. Alright, now plug your plug back in. Okay, the bottom, put this wind deflector back in place. And put your rod in. The wire's already connected. Put it in between here. Can you zoom in on that? Can you see that? Okay, place your wire back in here. And tie strap it again. Make sure that it stays in place and doesn't end up in your fan. Alright, now we put it in. Okay, just like that. Plug your plug in the back for your fan. Alright. Alright, once you've seated the rad in place with the mounts, you can attach your hoses. Okay, so you've attached your hoses. Now reattach the shroud to the frame. Okay, now you put the top shroud back on in this bracket. Remember, you got to screw it underneath here. Okay. Okay, now that this bracket is tight, all there's left to do is to put the screw back on. Just line it up with the holes in the frame. And it just snaps into place like that. Now all we got to do is put the fluid in. Alright, the fluids are all topped up, and the last thing we needed to check for was to make sure that the fan came on. So everything's working fine, and we're good to go. And we'll see you again when we got something else repaired.